A beloved nurse who inspired her colleagues.
Thank you.
A devoted father.
We hope all your dreams come true and you live happily ever after.
A music teacher.
I love to sing.
It's one of those things that changes students' lives.
A Detroit bus driver.
You trying to get me home? Yeah.
Grandfathers who danced with their kids. Some dancing even in their 90s. A middle school librarian who always kept in touch.
I called you back. Call me back. I love you.
A football coach and mentor.
I'm only 33 years old right now. Well, all right, 33 plus. But it's been a glorious year. And just 2020, I have good vision for this. Get it? 2020 vision.
A proud Marine who served his country for 25 years.
Happy birthday to all the Marines, past Marines, active Marines, wherever they are, in harm's way.
A high school junior and cancer survivor. An educator who inspired those going off into the world.
Be resilient in life when there's disappointment or failure. Do your best work no matter who's watching. Stay true to all that you believe in.
A loving son with so much ahead of him. A grandmother who always kept the faith.
From all alone, oh, yes, I'm leaning, yes, I'm leaning on the everlasting arms.
Those are the sad, sad stories of those who have lost their lives to COVID-19. Welcome to Let It Be Known, the National Newspaper Publishers Association and the Black Press of America's live breaking news show. Each and every morning, weekday morning, we join you. And due to the surge of COVID-19 cases, the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is asking unvaccinated Americans not to travel this coming weekend during the Labor Day holiday. The U.S. is surpassing an average of 160,000 new COVID-19 cases each day, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. With the spread of the more transmissible Delta variant and many students returning to the classroom for a new academic year, the rise is concerning officials and health experts. First and foremost, if you are unvaccinated, we would recommend not traveling. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said yesterday during a White House COVID-19 response team briefing. Dr. Walensky said that while people who are fully vaccinated can travel with precautions, current transmission rates mean they too need to take COVID-19 risks into consideration when deciding whether to travel. So again, the National Newspaper Publishers Association certainly endorses the vaccines for the COVID-19. If you can, get vaccinated. We saw, again, those stories this morning are a reminder of how serious this disease is. Over 884,000 customers remain without power in Louisiana, and over 14,000 remain without power in Mississippi as of this morning. 4 Louisiana hospitals were damaged due to the storm. 39 medical facilities had to start operating on generator power, and many patients were evacuated. Also, several buildings in Port Fourchon, which is responsible for 18% of the U.S.'s oil supply, sustained severe damage. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell said during a news conference on Tuesday evening that the city will see some level of transmission of power as early as today. The expectation should not be that the entire city will be lit on Wednesday, she said, but in stages. As of Wednesday, the city's Louis Armstrong International Airport is operating using generator power, and airlines have reported 197 cancellations for Wednesday. Terry Jones is the publisher of Data News Weekly in New Orleans, and he will join us this morning to give us an update and first-person account of the devastation in his hometown. But first, of course, let us bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacey Brown, and hope everything is going well with you. I see some storm pass through Washington, D.C. I know it's headed to New Jersey and New York area right now, and we still extend our prayers for our brothers and sisters in Louisiana, in Mississippi and Alabama, and all the states that have been impacted by Hurricane Ida, Tropical Storm Ida.
Yeah.
And thank you, Stacey, for continuing to give the headlines on behalf of the Black Press of America, led by our chair, Karen Carter Richards of the Forward Times in Houston, Texas, and all of the 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies across America. Let it be known.
Yeah, and Dr. Chavis is coming to us this morning from the beautiful studios that is at the National Newspaper Publishers Association's headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
It's a wonderful place. Dr. Chavis, back to the headlines. Law enforcement agencies submitted incident reports involving 7,759 criminal incidents and 10,532 related offenses motivated by bias toward race, ethnicity, ancestry, religion, and sexual orientation, among others. The FBI hate crime stats was released for 2020 and reported 7,554 single bias incidents involving 10,528 victims. The distribution is really startling when you realize that overall, African Americans and Asian Americans are primarily the targets of hate crimes in America. This is from a brand new report.
Another statistical verification of systemic and systematic racism in America. And again, I'm going to reaffirm not just the importance, but the strategic necessity of the Black Press of America to help us get through all these multiple forms, Stacey, of racial discrimination, of racial bias, racial prejudice, racial hatred. It is institutionalized, it is systemic, but thank God that we have the Black Press to call out these injustices and to cite the data that verifies what we all know to be true.
Yeah, and we're going to talk shortly with Terry Jones down from New Orleans. But one of the things that Hurricane Ida, one of the many things that is left in its wake, it destroyed the second home of Louis Armstrong, the great jazz player, the Karnowski Taylor Shop in Residence, the second home to the famed jazz legend. It was destroyed. A viral social media video captured the destruction of the shop at 427 South Rampart Street in New Orleans. Armstrong grew up near the shop and by the age of 12 was known to frequent the place owned by the Karnowski family, who offered him a job, according to the Cultural Heritage radio station WWOZ. So something else that we won't see anymore because of this devastating storm down in New Orleans and in Mississippi too, Dr. Chavis.
Well, hopefully that historic edifice can be rebuilt. One thing for sure, the spirit and the dynamic legacy of Louis Armstrong will continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Chavis, in sports, so on Tuesday, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan reiterated the game's diversity, equity, and inclusion commitment during a call with media from around the globe. He reiterated what he told the National Newspaper Publishers Association over the weekend. He said the PGA Tour is positioned for unprecedented growth over the next 10 years, starting with the 2021-2022 season. He said that he has met with us, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, and he says they pledge to do so much more to encourage African-American participation in the game. He noted that the various commitments and programs that the tour has begun or aligned itself with to meet diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. He says, 1 year ago, I pledged that the PGA Tour would be part of the conversation and the solution surrounding a racial and social injustices in our society. I also said then that candidly, we didn't know exactly what to do right away, but that we wouldn't be deterred. So they continue, the commissioner and the PGA Tour as a whole continue to press forward in their goal of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Absolutely. This is good news for the Black Press of America. It's good news for Black America. And we thank the commissioner of the PGA Tour, native of Boston. When he met with us, Stacy, I saw firsthand a serious commitment on behalf of the PGA Tour to help lead our nation forward toward greater equality, toward greater celebration of diversity rather than fearing diversity. So I wish the other commissioners of the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, NASCAR, all the other sports would follow the commissioner of the PGA Tour. I wish they would follow his leadership. The Black press is going to certainly be much more involved and engaged with the PGA Tour going forward, and we look forward to it. I thought it was one of the best interviews that you ever conducted, Stacy. Pleased to witness it. And then the private talks I was able to have with Jay. I just really believe that he's not only sincere, but he has a lot of integrity and confidence as the commissioner of the PGA Tour, that he can help lead the way for all the rest of the auxiliary. The PGA Tour is like alphabet soup. There are different tours, professional golf, but the PGA Tour is the leading one.
Yeah, exactly. There's the PGA of America, the LPGA, it goes APGA, it goes on and on. But the PGA Tour, of course, is the primary alphabet soup, if you will. But we certainly enjoyed and we really appreciate the PGA Tour and Jay Monahan, the commissioner, and the hospitality they showed the Black press. Now, Dr. Chavez, let us bring on the publisher of the Data News Weekly in New Orleans, Terry Jones. Good morning, Terry Jones.
Hi, good morning. How you guys are doing today?
Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
I hope that you're safe and secure, and our prayers are with you and with all the people in New Orleans, from New Orleans, as a result of this devastating Hurricane Ida.
You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Terry.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So I had a problem in a couple other interviews. Hey, thank you for letting me be on. It's been another challenge. It's really kind of crazy that we were devastated again on the same day as Katrina, 16 years later.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I had to take my son and move out because, I mean, you guys always joke with me about voodoo and all the stuff in New Orleans, but when that came down on that day, I was like, okay, I think I believe in voodoo now. I'm getting out of here. So, but as I talk to people on the ground, it's if you could reflect back to Katrina, it's not as bad. I mean, we lost power back then, but we had water too. So we don't have water. And everybody's working diligently. I've talked to the people with AT&T and the people with Entergy, which is our electrical partner, and they're working hard to try to put it back together. But the basic is the electricity, and of course, we got in a position that some knuckleheads are looting and doing stuff that they shouldn't do in a time of tragedy. But those things happen as well.
Yeah, Terry, you mentioned Katrina. Obviously, it brought back those memories. What have you seen different this time? We know during Katrina, it seems that the government really let down Louisiana. What have you seen different this time?
Well, without a doubt, President Biden is focused. I think, in fact, Secretary Richmond is the point person for him as it relates to the what's going on. The governors in pocket. I mean, no, we have government. They're in pocket. They're here to help and do all they can do. But much different than that other President Bush that seemed to forget. They've forgotten that we existed at that
Yeah.
time. Even though Louisiana was majority Republican, but not New Orleans. So, but I think we have a very good relationship at this point, especially with the president as it relates to the things that Dr. Chavis has done and NNPA has done in terms of relationship with the president and our governor is in pocket. So a lot different politically,
Yeah.
right?
And Terry, I don't know if you are able to see the pictures that we are showing as you speak, but it's showing the pictures of devastation. Were you able to see any of those pictures? And if not, tell us about some of the visuals that you saw in person, and how that does that. You're a publisher of a really good newspaper out there. You guys are used to putting the news out, not being the news. But how does that impact your coverage of what's happening? How does that impact you as a resident of New Orleans when you see pictures of the devastation?
Well, we've been in contact with folks. In fact, we put the paper out online. Well, we set it up online. We haven't hit the button yet, but we put a paper together yesterday, like we normally do on Tuesday, online. Also, we interfaces. I'm also on the board of directors for the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, and we've fed it with them. We fed in with AT&T, all streamlined on our website, la-news.com, and we try to feed people best information we can, not only paper, but we have a feeder on our website because there's a lot of false information. It's strange with the internet and stuff. People are throwing on stuff that's not true. They're saying FEMA's going to do stuff that's not true. They're saying that things are happening in New Orleans that's not true. So we try to feed as much of the best information we can to our constituents, to our New Orleanians, the best we can. So if anybody's watching and they want to find out the best source of information, we're making sure everything is right on our website, la-news.com. So we're working. So every day we're trying to feed that piece outside of the newspaper as well, trying to do what we do. We call Data News Weekly the People's Paper, and actuality, and doing Katrina, we came out before the daily paper came out, and we had papers in Atlanta, Houston, Baton Rouge, Jackson, Mississippi, before the daily paper came out to try to get information to our people. So we're doing the same thing this time as we did last time, trying to feed information to our readers and to our community.
Yeah, Dr. Chavis?
Well, again, I listened very intently to our dear publisher, Terry Jones. Terry Jones is also a member of the National Board of Directors of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. He chairs the nominating committee of the NNPA, and he also is in charge of our conventions and all of our special events in terms of planning and designing. And next year, God willing, Terry,
Yeah.
the Publishers Association will be convening our national convention in New Orleans. So we look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And Terry, so you actually were, like you said, you were able to get out. Where are you now, and how long do you anticipate being displaced?
Well, I'm hopeful, Stacey, but I'm in Houston now. With our home of our chairman, Karen Carter, right? And she's come and helped me out just to get some necessities that I need to move forward. So I'm sitting in Houston, and my 11-year-old son sound asleep in the bed over there. So we are like doing our best. We don't know. I'm registered to stay here till the weekend. I have stuff coming from New Orleans from Intergy and stuff that they're working very hard to try to get some residential areas, especially the hospitals and those kind of things, open. Like I said, I've had people down there. My house is intact, so that's a great thing.
Yes.
No trees flew into it, so it's a matter of getting some electricity on, and we're gonna try to get back there, do what we can do. So I hope it's only this week. It may be longer. I'm not sure. I told our chairman, Karen, that when I went to Atlanta during Katrina, I ended up living in Atlanta for 2.5 years. I said, I hope I'm not gonna be your neighbor again. Your neighbor now, right? I mean,
Hey, whatever it takes. But and Terry, I'm sure you've communicated with folks back home. What's the mindset right now of people back in New Orleans? We talked earlier about the mayor. She mentioned that they will start trying to get power and services back on, but in stages. But what's the mindset back home for those who are back home and stuck? As Bobby Henry writes in that our prayers are with you, Terry.
but I'm telling you, it's kind of deja vu. It's how did this happen again? And everybody's kind of shocked, but it's also like, okay, we've been through something like this before. We can handle this, and everybody's just moving forward. My immediate family, my mother and they've been in Alabama trying to figure out what to do at this point. So my whole staff ended up here in Houston. So that's how it was easier for us to put the paper out. We just call it by ear, man. I mean, the fact that regretfully we've been through something similar already 16 years ago, and it's kind of crazy. But at least now we know what to do. I mean, like everybody's online, everybody's communicating daily, make sure you're okay, that kind of stuff, and hope for the best. This is something we have no total control over, the electricity, and electricity also affects the water pumps. So they have bad water and no electricity down there. Yeah, I mean, some people I've talked to said it was worse than Katrina, or it was as bad as Katrina without the water. I mean, I think without the water, there's an asset. That we don't have that kind of destruction. But I'm sure American Trail. She's gonna try to do her very best. She's been pretty good with the virus and whatever. So you have the virus, then you have this. So it's like it's compiling. It's okay. What you have next, God? That we could. Where we at? What's the next challenge? So.
Well, and as you say that, Angela Conley writes in that Tropical Storm Larry is something to watch for as well. What's your read on that, Terry? Have you been tracking Larry as well?
I was looking at it last night. Somebody else brought it up to me here in Atlanta, but I thought they said last night that they don't think it's going to get all the way across.
Okay.
Did you hear something else? I heard that it was headed with they thought that it wasn't going to. The hope was that it wasn't going to even get to the mainland when it gets over on this side. I don't know.
Yeah. Right now, that's you're right. Right now, that's the forecast, that it doesn't look like it's going to be strong enough to get to the mainland, which is great. Terry,
let me tell you something. I don't panic until it's here.
Yeah.
I'm going to create a new panic. I'm going to deal with whatever's here first, right? And so we wait to find out what happens with that.
Yeah, it seems that Louisiana residents are very strong individuals, and you typify that, Terry. Like you said, no panic until you have to. You know what you got to do, so you do it. But what about those, Terry? You got out. Your staff got out. There are other people who got out. What about those who just simply could not get out? What are you hearing? Why couldn't people get out?
To be honest with you, I think at one point it might be economics, on some level, but some of it was poor decisions. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think some was poor decisions that they thought they could weather it. They thought it would be okay. I have a cousin who I spoke to just before the storm, and he's like, "Oh, I can, I'm okay without lights, and I can wake it through this." And then, the next day, he called me and said, "I'm in Birmingham." Because at some point it's like, okay, this is not smart. So he got in the car
Right.
with his daughter and started driving out. So I'm saying, bad decisions. My son's still down there. My oldest son is still down there. It's like they ride around. They were in a part of town where the electricity wasn't there, so the water was bad. So he had no water. So the water pumps didn't work. So they had no water in the house he went to weather the storm. So he had no water at all and no lights. They bought a generator, but but that didn't work. So I mean, it was a bad decision. I mean, at
Yeah.
this point, you don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what to do with you because I'm not going down there. I mean, he's like 44 now, so I'm like, bad decisions. And I'm saying, when you
Yeah.
make those bad decisions, then when you make the knowing hurricane, when you make the bad decision and the hurricane comes, then nobody can do nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, because when it starts rolling, that's it. Whatever decision you made, that's your A, B, and C um plan.
Yeah.
It's your A, B, and C plan because we can't help it. When it rolls in, then all bets are off. Everybody's going to, buckle down and try to survive. So,
Yeah.
so like a lot of it was bad decisions, and when some of it was maybe economical. Everybody's got some kind of car to try to get out and do something, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah. I want to throw it back to you, Dr. Chavis.
Well, again, we want to thank Terry Jones for giving us this account of the devastation of Hurricane Ida. I want to just ladder to a corollary issue. COVID-19. Louisiana's one of the states that's still spiking in terms of the pandemic. Uh, Terry Jones, can you comment from your perspective about the COVID-19 pandemic? And they just announced last night that there's two other variants heading to the United States. Variant, you have the Lambda, and then last night they announced another new variant.
Yeah, that's devastating, Dr. Chavis. I mean, I understand that absolutely we are vulnerable to have a rage because of the hurricane. At some points the shelters that are open up for people. There's around Louisiana. I understand that again to our mayor's benefit. I mean, charges that Louisiana was bad, but New Orleans was not as bad as Louisiana was. Total. I mean, New Orleans they had a higher percentage of vaccinations than the total of Louisiana. But now, trust me, I'm sure we have a surge because of no, because of the hurricane and shelters and folks. I mean, I spoke to some people down there and say, people were saying like, oh no, before the hurricane started. I haven't seen Joni or Harold or whatever in so long. We're gonna all just go to my house and wear the hurricane out, right? And I'm like, that's not a good plan. So so
Yeah.
I'm like, uh, so I'm sure we're gonna have some kind of outbreak because of the hurricane, and everybody those folks happen to get together in close quarters, right? Um, the funny part is I remember when I was telling people when Betsy was in New Orleans a long time ago. But when I was a kid, we used to like enjoy hurricane time because we were out of school. We could eat like Vienna sausages and stuff, and people came over and like until Hurricane Betsy came in and flooded my neighborhood out. So and that then it wasn't fun anymore. So, but people actually gave hurricane parties and that kind of stuff during this hurricane, and that's just breeded the virus again. So I think we're gonna have another breakout. And probably New Orleans won't be as secure as it was before.
Yeah.
Regretfully, right? Because
I pray for you and with all the people of Louisiana and all the people of the Southeast, as well as even the Northeast now that are affected by these climate change. These storms are getting worse and worse, more frequent and more frequent. And we hope that the public policy makers at the federal level, at the state level, and at the municipal level will prepare for climate change and do those things to help protect the environment so that our cities like New Orleans and like states like Louisiana will not continue to have these devastating storms.
Yeah,
And thank you, Dr.
absolutely.
Davis. And when I say thank you, because that's the important thing. That we've had hurricanes, we've had stuff, nothing as devastating as this. I mean, last year, hurricanes hit Houston several times, the whole Louisiana. And you have to understand that you have to be pretty dumb not to understand that there's a climate change, and it's a dangerous climate change. It's terrible. And between the fires and the hurricanes, that, the powers that be need to understand that we need to do something seriously about our environment, because this is devastating.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just wanted to, before we close, just lift up what Angela Connolly says. She gives her opinion on looters. She says people are looting for food and water. They should not be locked up, but TVs and jewelry, lock them up. So
I agree.
yeah, it's a devastating situation. Desperate times, for some say desperate times calls for desperate measures. We don't advocate in any way breaking the law. And don't forget to check out the National Newspaper Publishers Association and the Black Press of America on TikTok at NNPA Black Press. We have Howard University student Carrington York, who does our TikTok, and she does a fabulous job. So check out the Black Press of America on TikTok at NNPA Black Press. You can check her out there. Terry Jones, we really appreciate you taking the time out this morning. We know that it is a terrible time for you and all those in Louisiana. So thank you so much for updating us and our viewers and all of the Black Press of America. And please make plans now to join us for the National Newspaper Publishers Association's National Leadership Awards reception, September 16th. You can register now. It's virtualnnpa2021.com. Again, it's www.virtualnnpa2021.com. The NNPA's National Leadership Awards reception. Let it be known, remember this: to see what is right and not do it is a lack of courage. Everybody stay safe, stay well. We will see you tomorrow.